Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the stream. You may notice that it looks a little different today. It looks a little clearer, like the screen has lost all of its weird grainy blurriness. Well, I watched a YouTube video like 5 minutes ago on how to fix that. So, I am now streaming at the best quality that I can possibly do. No longer will I have to watch my own streams and go, oh my god, why is everything so fucking grainy? So yay, we fixed some problems today. Yeah, today's gonna be pretty chill. I'm pretty exhausted. I don't know how long I'm going to be streaming tonight. I do need to do at least 4 time walking dungeons, so we're gonna be doing at least 4. And the Midsummer Festival is actually right now. So we may do a couple of those quests, even though I don't think I've ever done the Midsummer quests. So yeah, let's pop the sound on. I have added a couple new buttons to my Stream Deck. Now I just need to figure out how to do the like transition screen from the opening screen to the gameplay. I'm not sure which setting that is. I can definitely look that up and figure it out though. So yeah. I'm in Stormwind right now, and because again, the Midsummer Festival, but I do have a couple of things to do in Nazjatar. I guess I could go do that. So what's everyone else doing today? Hope you guys are doing well. I don't want to jump right into the lore because at that point I am going to be pretty much babbling and talking to myself the whole time. It's gonna be great. You're gonna have a lot of fun. Really just listening to me talk to myself. Awesome. Stinky Alliance. Yeah, well, that's actually one of my talking points tonight. Is some Stinky Alliance. And why I'm playing Alliance. How I got back to playing Alliance. This is not where I want to go. Also, I got a new weapon today. Fucking finally. I have had a 385 weapon for ages. Because for some reason, I'm not lucky enough to get any good drops from dungeons. So I bought a new weapon with my Timewalking coins because the Timewalking mount right now, I have enough to get the Cataclysm Timewalking mount. The only thing is, it's ugly and I don't want it, so I'm not gonna get it. Because I don't like Sunreavers. I think they're pretty ugly. Let's see. So last time I was here, I was doing some quests over here area. I know I haven't finished everything in Nazjatar because I'm lazy and I don't really like this area, but I really want the mount that comes with this area. There's so much you have to do. You have to take your stupid like fish friends on like trips through Nazjatar and do world quests, and that's frankly not really something I'm interested in doing. Nazarite cache, 9 lives. Have I done this one? I also suck at doing these corruption assault missions things. I don't like it. I hated that they added this. That they added that instead of, and I'm gonna get Mechagon rep grind is gross. Oh, fucking yeah, it is. I haven't even I haven't even finished questing in Mechagon. That's not what I meant to click on. No, I'm not even done. Cause I don't like it. And I don't really give a shit about mechanomes anyway, so I'm probably not going to do it. If I had a horde character, I could do it with Heather and I. If I had a horde character, I do have a horde character. She's just not leveled up. Maybe I don't have anything to do in Ashtar. Maybe I was just being goofy. I mean, I have all these stupid world quests, but I don't really care about that. I do have a horde character. I have several horde characters. This is just not my main anymore. Because I moved my druid over at the end of Legion. And that's where we're gonna start. Leveled up is what I meant. I mean, yeah. My warlock is 120. She is leveled up. But she is far from being, like, leveled enough to actually, like, make any difference. Like, her gear. Even this character, which is my main, is still sitting at 432. Like, it's just not a priority to me. I'm not one of those players that's like, I have to have the best possible gear in everything. I'm just like, meh. I'm a very casual WoW player. I don't really care. What am I gonna do? I think I'm gonna do this midsummer quest that keeps bothering me. But I have to do it in... So the weird thing is, the quest is in Uldum, which, at the moment, kind of doesn't exist because there's a giant sword in Azeroth. So what I think I have to do is go and talk to the lady and set it back. I try to get on the non-rating cap. Yeah. It's 450, the non-rating cap now? God. It wasn't 2 patches ago. It used to be like, well, it used to be 440. It was 440 was the non-rating cap. I thought 450 was like the highest cap. I might be wrong. So yeah, I was playing with my settings on Streamlabs, and again, I was tired of my stream looking like garbage, and I was like, there has got to be something I'm doing wrong. So I finally looked up a video, because I was like, I don't understand half the shit in the settings. I really don't. I don't know how to set
King's on safe travels.
Yay, we're going back in time. There we go. It's like 480-ish. 480! Oh, fuck my life. But anyway, I was messing with the settings because I was like, there's definitely something I'm doing wrong. My streams still look like garbage, and I've been doing this for too long for it to continue looking like garbage. So I need to do something about it. So I watched a YouTube video, and this guy was like, well, you need to change this, and I was like, fuck yeah, I do need to change all of that. So I finally did it. Yay! Honor the Silithus flame.
Right.
How do I honor the Silithus? What do I do? Woo! He got bigger. Am I supposed to kneel? I kneel before the summer scorchling. I was merely jesting. Cute. So yeah, now all my stuff is fixed, and I'm happy. What did that what? Did I... What happened? Glacial Templar slain. Okay, so I do need to... I think capturing torches. That's back in Stormwind. So it's fine.
You need something?
Speak Master Fire Eater in any alliance capital. Wait, no, I've already done this one. I mean, I'll do it again. It's fine. Okay. So yeah, long story short, I'm gonna say like the same thing like 600 times. Everything's fine now. It looks good. There shouldn't be any, like, unless my Wi-Fi decides to shit itself, there shouldn't be any more, like, crazy latency issues, And there shouldn't be any more, well, I can't go to Dalaran, so... there shouldn't be any more, like, grainy grossness.
Greetings. Farewell.
Yay, time travel. Okay. So, I am going to start my nerdy lore rant. And you guys are you're just gonna hang on for the ride, because a lot of this is going to be me sort of talking to myself and then, like, asking hypothetical questions. Or, feel free, if you know the lore, to kind of toss out an idea or an answer. I know that not many WoW players, actually, a lot of WoW players, I have learned, know dick about the WoW lore. Like, literally none of it. And I'm like, how do you play this game and not get, like, sucked in to the universe and, like, the characters and the lore and try and find everything out about? Maybe I'm dead. That's who I am. That's what I do. And I've been learning about WoW lore since, I don't know. Definitely not since I first started playing it, but definitely since, what was it? Warlords of Draenor? And I've gone back, I've gone back and, I've watched gameplay on Warcraft 3 just to kind of catch up on all of that, because Warcraft 3 has a lot of information on the background of a lot of different, like, lore-specific characters. You'll be here for conversation while I try to finish commission. Nice. Thank goodness. Woohoo! Dungeons ready! Wonder which one we'll get. Someone declined the invite already. Well, go fuck yourself. I hate it when people do that, especially if it's a DPS. Like, you are in the queue as a DPS for so long, and then you just decline. Why?
See you later.
There we go. Give me good. I want to do Black Temple. Black Temple. That was always my favorite. Also, Heather showed me the WoW lore text. I assume you were gonna tell me, but never did. Yeah, Warcraft 3 is super cool. I never played Warcraft 3 because I was much too young. This DPS is gonna cause us to not get in the dungeon. I was too young, and I didn't play. I didn't play Warcraft 3, and due to how many people have, like, really disliked. I don't like this one. Due to how many people have disliked the Reforged version, which is odd, I suppose. But I know there was the Reforged version. They made a lot of promises, and then they didn't actually do any of them. So, and the trailers for it were super misleading. Like, they had, like, redesigned the whole game and done the cutscenes better, but they didn't do any of that. I mean, all they did really was update some of the models and, like, I think that was it. Played it when I was little. It was a blast. Still love it. That's why I'm into the WoW lore. Okay, yeah. So, if you know Warcraft 3 information when you played it, then you got sucked into WoW lore pretty early on. I didn't have that experience. I played WoW off and on when I was younger. Also, tell me if the game music is the game sounds are too loud. I can't really tell because all I can hear is the game in my ear. But yeah, so I wasn't really introduced to the lore aspect of WoW until I was an adult, a teenager, but old enough to, like, finally, like, understand what I was playing, because, I was a kid when I first, and yes, the game is super loud. It's super loud? Okay, let me turn it on. Okay, how's that? Is that better? I checked it by doing a recording, and I didn't think it was too loud, but I guess I don't know. Oh my god, you sold the whole room. a lot better. Okay, okay, good. Thank you. So yeah, I was a teenager when I finally got into like the nitty-gritty information. And ever since then I have like it's like drowning me out. Okay, alright, well thank you for letting me know. Ever since then I have had such a I don't want to call it an obsession. It's not really an obsession. It's just something that I enjoy filling my time with, you know, getting to know, because I don't read a whole lot of books anymore like I used to, and so WoW is a very passive way of being part of a story, and it's in its own way, it's like reading a book. So I always kind of like, this is like one of the few things that I always return to in my life. Yada yada. Not to be like weird about it, but like WoW has always been like kind of important to me. Even though it's just a video game, but I don't know. It's held a lot of really good memories for me. You might turn it down the slightest bit more because the high parts of the sounds are a bit loud. Okay. I hope that works. So, I got back into WoW in Warlords of Draenor. Before that, I had played some of Kata. I definitely played, what was it? I did definitely play Burning Crusade, BC. And then I played some of Wrath, like, through, like, my uncle's account or something, I think it was. And then I got old enough. I didn't play Miss of Pandaria at all. That's the only, so far, that is the only expansion I have never played, other than like a few quests here and there, but I never like I never got to experience the story by myself, and like spread out like you should have. So I don't really know much about, like, for example, I don't really know much about Rathian. I only know and like the whole thing with Garrosh and yada yada. I never like experienced that, so I don't know many of the details when it comes to that expansion, other than what I have seen, read, and watched from like other. I got the sound perfect. Oh, cool. Fun fact, during the time I played Warcraft 3 as a middle school, and the Scholastic Book Fair came by, and they had a Warcraft graphic novel. Oh, that's cool. I want to look for the rest of the series because I thought about it recently. I'm sure you could find it. The graphic novels are pretty widely enjoyed. Like, there are probably tons of people that still, you know, read them. I think they continued them for a little while, depending on which branch or which. Are you talking about like the story of Varian, those graphic novels? Well, open the door. Oh. Story of Logosh and how the Alliance was fooled by Katrana slash Onyxia. I always find that story super interesting. It's the only part I'm worried about because it's so old. Yeah, I mean, it is old, but I think they're still. I don't think they're like widely published anymore. You could probably find them, you know, like sitting somewhere around on the internet. Give me a sec. I need to check. It's been a while. Don't remember the character. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so, you know, lore's been, long story short, lore's been a big part of my life. And should we have come down here? I don't think I've ever done this dungeon. Oh, look at that. There's a spot to go up. It's about a blue dragon. A blue dragon? What, Caligos? Well, I mean, there's a bunch of blue dragons. But it just depends on which one you're talking about. Warcraft, the Sunwell trilogy. Oh, okay. So it goes over how, you know, the fall of the Sunwell and how the Blue Dragon Flight basically like rebuilt it or gave it power back so that the Blood Elves could continue living. Yeah, I know. Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that wasn't Caligos. I think that was Caligos's, I think that was his daughter that did that. That healed the Sunwell. And gave the Sindori, like, back their lives. Oh shit, I'm gonna die. Ah. That was really dumb. I was not paying attention. I would be so embarrassed if I died in a time-walking dungeon. Apparently it was Kalek. Never put 2 and 2 together till now. Yeah. Kalek and... What are you looking for, dude? Kalek and his, human consort. Was it it was either Kalek or his daughter. I don't remember who actually healed the Sunwell. I had talking points, and you... Now I don't know how I was gonna bring this up. Time until first prisoner is killed. Oh, sad. Oh, I was gonna talk about... So I wanted to start with how I got invested. Went over that. And then I wanted to talk about, which characters affect me the most. So, in that aspect, so the characters that I always tended to... The book is about Kalek and a girl he meets. So, Kalek... I think Kalek ends up... Well, so I think Kalek's original consort was human, or it was the physical embodiment of... She wasn't actually human. She was literally like the physical embodiment of the Sunwell, and she was sent to the Blue Dragon Flight to be protected until the day came that she could be released, or not released, that's not really the right word, that she could be freed from her mortal body. And that was that. Kind of a weird setting. But yeah, that's what that is. Kalek and I can't remember the girl's name, but she literally was just she wasn't technically human. She was just the physical embodiment of the power of the Sunwell. WoW lore's weird. I have all sorts of stuff like that. So yeah, I'm like getting distracted with like making sure I hit all my dots. Oh, he's behind me. Gotta keep moving. Okay, so when I first started playing WoW, I played Alliance. I played Alliance for a very long time. Many years. Until I rejoined WoW when I got into Warlords of Draenor. So Warlords of Draenor was the first time that I had actually ever played a Horde character. And the reason being, my choice to switch factions at that point was social. All the, the people my friends that got me back into WoW were all on the Horde. And Vina, yes, thank you. That's right. So it was a social decision, and it was a like, oh, well, I've never done this side before. I've never been a Horde character, or if I had been a Horde character, it's for a very short amount of time. I will kill you! Cat's pulling at the door, drive me crazy. So my first time playing a Horde character, I chose the most non-Horde race you probably could have chosen. I was a Tauren. Actually, it was this character. So Moriagra, the character that I'm playing now, my druid, actually started out as a Tauren. And I say that Tauren are the most non-Horde characters that you can have, that the Horde has, because the Tauren, if given the chance, I believe would not have joined the Horde. I really don't. They are nothing like the other races in the Horde. Well, yeah, now that's a little changed because we have allied races, and that's just putting a bunch of confusing people, different like reasons for fighting and yada yada. So I chose a Tauren mostly because I wanted to be a druid, and because I played a night elf druid in every instance before that time. So I was like, okay, well, Taurens can be druids. I was like, I'll be a druid. And the last time I leveled a druid, so before this character, before Warlords of Draenor, the last time I leveled a character was actually in BC. On my first ever druid character. And it was so funny getting back into WoW after all that time, because, bro, everything had changed. All the mechanics had changed. Obviously, like graphics had changed, stuff like that, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is like basically a new game. So it took me so long to relearn how to play WoW. Because I was used to like vanilla mechanics. And I don't okay. And I was because I was used to vanilla mechanics, the fact that I no longer had to do vanilla mechanics was very strange. And you no longer had to go to a trainer to learn all your spells. And I was like, well, how do you learn them then? And obviously they just pop into your spell book automatically now. You don't even have to worry about it anymore. Oh, there were invisible people. Can I just hit one of them? Thank you. So that was weird for me. And then I actually like started doing some like actual lore digging, and because I wanted to know, like what had happened since the last time I played. And I guess technically I did kind of play in Mists of Pandaria, but I never bought the expansion. So I actually I played the base game. I got to, the highest level that I could without buying an expansion. And then, because it was like right on the precipice of WoD coming out. So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna wait. There's no point in buying this expansion if the next one comes out, I think at that point it was like a couple months. And I was like, okay, well, I don't need to buy Mists of Pandaria because I'm not even going to get leveled enough to do the quests until WoD comes out anyways. So I was so excited. I stayed up. Well, actually, no, I didn't stay up. I set an alarm. I bought the special edition because I was really excited to play WoD. It was something new. It was different. It was unlike the expansions before. And during the time that I was waiting for WoD to come out, I was learning the lore. I was learning what characters were where and who did what. And I actually really fell in love with the Horde. And, the fact that, they stick together through, basically being the outcasts. And I was like, well, that's really endearing. And I had a blast. I loved it. Playing on Horde was so much fun. And I loved it. I loved it through Warlords of Draenor, even though Warlords of Draenor was not the best expansion. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't the best. So, and Vol'jin, oh my god. I didn't live through the Garrosh days, so I didn't have to, experience the disappointment and, anger behind Garrosh essentially, ripping the Horde from, the inside out. And, reading all of that, and I was like, oh man, that sucks. And then I was like, well, that's a weird pattern with Horde war chiefs. That kid's in the ground. So that's when I realized that there was this strange pattern with the Horde war chiefs. And I was like, It's like, that's unfortunate. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm dancing. A fire circle. So I was like, yikes, that's kind of fucked up. As a Horde war chief, you have I don't know, 2 years max of being the war chief, and then they're like, okay, well, time to die. Okay, great. So I came in when Vol'jin became the war chief. I loved Vol'jin. I loved Thrall. They're two of my in the entire lore of WoW. They're two of my favorite characters ever. I love both. They both have fantastic character lines and story arcs. They're great. I mean, come on, you got Green Jesus and just a big funny troll guy. I mean, he wasn't very funny. He was a soldier, but he was nice, and he cared about the Horde, and he cared about the people in the Horde. And that is what I was like, oh, well, that's great. Because I was watching, I wasn't playing on the Alliance. I mean, I would kind of bounce between the two every once in a while, but I was mostly a Horde player in Warlords of Draenor and Legion. So I played through all the Horde campaigns in Warlords of Draenor, in Legion. And then BFA hit. And I'd been wanting to play on the Alliance side anyway. And so obviously I I just transferred my druid. I just transferred Mori over as a night elf. And I was like, okay, probably gonna stream Warcraft 3 Reforged. PC is all built. Hell yeah! Missed that part of the story. Thrall and Rexar meeting all the horde characters. Oh man, that's such a like a good. It's fun. I really like that like story arc. When Thrall has come to Azeroth and he's setting up the new horde, and it's just it's cool. Where am I supposed to catch these torches? Take this stack of unlit torches. Go to the bonfire. Throw a torch high into the air. Catch before it hits the ground. Okay. Oh, I have a quest. For Dark Moon? Okay, well, I don't need that, because it's not Dark Moon time. Woo! New gloves! Yes! Yeah. No, I don't need that. Yeah, I very much enjoyed that story arc, because the forming of the horde was really quite. Hey, thanks so much, Chrono Styles, for the follow. I really appreciate it. Welcome to the family. Hope you like listening to me talk a lot. Dark Moon is next week. Oh, is it? I'll keep it in my bag then. I do need to go sell some stuff. So yeah, the formation of the horde was very interesting to me when I actually like decided to learn about it. So yada yada. I played through WoD. It was fine. It's okay. I liked the ideas they had for WoD. I don't think they implemented them well. Kinda like BFA. They had great ideas. They fantastic ideas for this expansion. And lore-wise, this expansion was awesome. I mean, we had so many amazing cinematics that were just just wonderful. Ugh. I mean, I still get goosebumps watching them. Like, they're full of emotion and storytelling, and I mean, not to mention, this expansion, BFA, has been the most cinematics we've gotten out of any expansion in the past. And I love it. That's honestly like the best part of BFA. The storytelling. It's great. Up until the whole corruption Nyalotha thing, and then it just sort of fell kind of flat. But I'll get to that. So, again, Warlords of Draenor, played it. It was fine. The storytelling was decent. I felt like it was a little too slow. I didn't feel like enough happened in Warlords of Draenor. And then it just kind of, we won. Like, we defeated the Iron Horde. Let's go home and never mention this again. Like, that's what it felt like at the end of WoD. Like, you finish the main storyline, and it's like, okay, well, build your garrison more. Oh, and now we have ships. Now we have ships. And I was like, great. Okay. Like, don't get me wrong. The dungeons and raids in WoD, I really loved. I thought the dungeons in raids in WoD were actually really well thought out. And the layouts of them were pretty intense. But I just kind of felt like it was like, like, okay, yay, you win, everyone go home, and by the way, you're never gonna see any of these other lore characters again. Like, great, thanks, see ya. I was like, alright, well, that was it. I was like, I bought the special edition of this stupid expansion for nothing. That's not true. I got a cool amount out of it, so that's fine. I woke up at 3 a.m. for this expansion. It really did. I set a timer, and I woke up when the expansion dropped. Yeah. I don't do that anymore. And then Legion came. And, of course, we've been dealing with the Burning Legion for fucking centuries. Centuries upon centuries. Over 10,000 years. And, the rest of the cosmos has dealt with it for far longer. And it's just something that I think, based on how it... So, demons don't die. You can kill their bodies, but their souls return to the twisting nether, and then they're reborn. They will never go away completely. I do not think that we're done with the Fel. And I say that because the more we push the story right now, so all of the alpha builds and the blue text posts coming out of WoW, coming out of Blizzard, are leading to the idea that this story of World of Warcraft is not any longer terrestrial based. It's not. And I'll get to that. If you haven't been paying attention to any of the alpha stuff, there's a lot to unpack, and I've been watching several people, lore YouTubers and stuff, explain this, and I've just been fucking fascinated. I think it's cool, and I don't remember what I was doing. I need to sell stuff. I definitely think, without a shadow of a doubt, this is, Shadowlands is going to be probably one of the coolest expansions we've ever gotten. And on top of that, not even just the story's gonna be cool. Like, yeah, obviously the story is going to be cool. When is the story not cool? But now, Blizz is actually listening to the players, which is fucking mind-boggling. So, BFA, we've had issues, and Blizz was just like, yeah, okay, well, we're just gonna keep doing that. Okay. Great, thanks. Oh, I can't get rid of legendaries. I don't know what to do with that. We're like, alright, cool. Thanks for fucking nothing. Appreciate it. And so now, did I need those? I don't think I do. What are my boots now? No, I don't need them. Okay. What? Shit. I'm stupid. So now Blizz is actually wholeheartedly listening to what the players have been saying for years. These crazy systems that they keep popping into the game are not working. And then when one system doesn't work, they just pop in another system on top of that one just to try and fix that system. They used to listen to us. Yeah, I don't think that they've listened to the player base in quite a while. So, we're at this point where Blizz is actually listening to the player base again. And, when they get negative comments about something, they're like, oh, about the alpha, about the Shadowlands alpha. They're like, okay, well, let's try and figure out, why you're not enjoying it. And, they end up implementing something different, which is great. It's awesome. Take Torghast, for example. Blizz wanted to put a timer in Torghast. But the reason everybody loved it so much, and I don't have access to the alpha, cry, but the reason everyone was loving it so much is that it didn't have a timer. And it's randomly generated. So you go into Torghast, it randomly generates mobs, it randomly generates the powers, the powers you get to add on top of, your stuff. and it was actually, it was fun. There was no timer to keep you. You could take as long as you wanted in the tower. And then Blizz was like, oh, well, we're gonna add this debuff to you if you're in the tower longer than however many minutes. Or if you're in that level of the tower for too long, you're gonna get a debuff. And I was like, well, that seems kind of mean. I was like, everyone's been having fun with Torghast. And then if you add a timer debuff like that, like no one's gonna enjoy it. No one's gonna have fun with it. And that's exactly what all the alpha players were telling them. They're like, well, we're just, if you add timers, what's gonna give players an incentive to actually do it? And I agree. That's actually the reason I don't do Mythic. I fucking hate Mythic because it's timed and you have to get specific keystones. I hate it. I hate everything about Mythic. Jesus Christ, just enter the dungeon. I have to do 3 more. Or 2 more. No, 3 more. So I don't do Mythic. I can't because I don't like having to do something timed that's never been timed before. It drives me crazy. I got sidetracked. I need to get back to where I was. I was talking about WoD, playing through WoD. Wasn't that bad. Yada yada. Legion came. I loved everything about Legion. I really did. 100%. Loved it. I played through every single quest line when I did Legion. Every one. And that's where my, not distaste, but that's where my, I guess you could say distaste. That's where I started leaning more Alliance than Horde. Mythic was only fun when I did it with a full group of friends on Discord. Yeah, and see, and I mean, they added a voice chat system, like an in-game chat system, so that you can voice chat with the people. Like if you do LFR, you voice chat with the people you just meet up with randomly. Because I'm not in a guild. I don't have friends. At least I don't have enough friends that play, that will run dungeons and raids with me. So I do LFR. Oh, hell yeah. So LFR's enough for me. Like, it doesn't bother me that I play on LFR. It's just that I don't generally enjoy LFR because people don't communicate. And especially in raids, you have to know those fucking mechanics. If you don't know the mechanics, you're gonna wipe on every single boss. Every one. You have to know the mechanics. And when I did raiding in Legion, LFR, I had the worst time because I would look up, get off of me. Ow. Hello? Oi, help, help, help. I'm a weak baby. I am just weak, kitty. So yeah, LFR was not fun for me in Legion because nobody would ever like learn the mechanics. And so we would wipe on every boss. And I was so fed up with it that by the end of Legion, I stopped raiding. And it's sad because I did just enough of the raids to get, all of the end all of the ending information, all the ending credits and stuff like that. So like I rated just enough to finish the storylines. And I didn't raid any more than that. Because I didn't want to. Because I didn't like playing with randoms who didn't educate themselves on boss mechanics. So back to lore talk. In Legion, you know, we had to team up in order to defeat the Burning Legion, in order to defeat Sargeras, and in order to save Azeroth. And that was all well and good, I suppose. But the one thing that really I didn't like about playing Horde in Legion was, and you know, you can argue this both ways, because I saw all the cinematics and I saw the story told from both sides, but I was personally not a fan, and there was no way around it. Like, they were all gonna die on the Broken Shore when the Horde left the Alliance to die. They were at the same time preserving themselves. You know, Vol'jin had fallen, and everyone else was in trouble. I understand why Sylvanas decided to pull the forces when Vol'jin fell. What I wasn't a fan of was, and there are going to be, everyone has different opinions, but I personally do not like Sylvanas. I never have. I know her story. It is tragic. And it's very sad how she became the person that she is today. And with the Shadowlands info, I have been graced with a different perspective on her character. So, before all this, Sylvanas is, and always has been, a pretty selfish character, which is fine. You know, you're imprisoned by the Lich King and forced to serve someone that, you know, destroyed your home and murdered your people. Yeah, I think I would be a little pissed off and selfish too. Don't get me wrong. And I don't know. She just always came off as angry all the time. Again, not without reason. I'm not discounting her motives or her behaviors. I understand. I know Sylvanas' story. So that's not something that I'm not bashing on her because I feel like she's a bad character. She's an incredibly well-written character. I mean, she's just, they did a fantastic job with Sylvanas. She's one of the only very well-written characters in the lore that have stayed true to their character. Because a lot of the other like lore leaders are very much not who they were when, you know, when we were first introduced to them back in whatever, that came about. So anyway, Legion, Sylvanas was made war chief. Yada yada. And then I played through Legion. Again, loved every minute of it. Still love it today. If the experience boost wasn't on, I would absolutely be running every one of my alts through the Legion storyline over and over. I love it. It's well thought out. The questing is interesting. You know, you get attached to the characters, which is really, really nice. No, 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 no! Son of a... Oh, no. Fucking... So I fell in love with the lore of Legion. It was just fun. What I had a problem with, and the reason that I started not wanting to be part of the Horde anymore, was because I, like Sarfang, was very much attached to, you know, the leaders of the Horde and what they used to be. I think that's a wipe in the dungeon. Yeah. We can't get their light. We can't get their fucking... Oh no, come on. I wasn't a fan of the methods that Sylvanas had introduced to the Horde's new way of doing things. I was uncomfortable with it. Are any of them going down? How to... I don't understand. Holy damage taken reduced by 75%. Well, none of us, I don't think, are using holy damage. I don't know how we're gonna get these guys down. Can we try something else? You need to do it one at a time or else they heal. Yeah, that's... They heal one another. So yeah, just the way that things were starting to get handled by Sylvanas in Legion were just not my favorite. She wasn't really concerned with defeating the Legion to begin with, which is... Can I... No, I can't. Damn it. Well, we got one of them down. Why are they on me? There were just things I was unhappy with. And the way Sylvanas kind of looked at the Legion is very almost transparently. Because now I know she actually doesn't really care. Sort of. In a way, Sylvanas, and this is where a lot of the alpha context for Shadowlands comes in. Sylvanas knows that whether we defeat this entity that's, you know, attacking Azeroth and attacking us and keeping us, I'm like losing my train of thought. I'm trying to do two things at once, and apparently I'm not a good multitasker when I'm talking. So, through all of Legion, most Horde players are not cool with Sylvanas' decisions. I mean, most of them weren't good to go with her idea of self-preservation. Because the Horde was always a family. The Horde is supposed to be somewhere that people can go. You know, the misfits of Azeroth can go to feel involved and to feel like they belong somewhere. And the way Sylvanas started leading the Horde was very much not that. By the end there, because when she was named War Chief by Vol'jin, not actually. When she was named War Chief, she left Undercity and the Forsaken just with not a second word. So they formed a council to run the Undercity while she was being the War Chief. And that's kind of how she ran the whole Horde. And I wasn't down with it. Now, given the information I know now, I understand why she did it, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. So Legion passes. I switch back to Alliance. And I, through BFA, really quite like the Alliance storyline. And I can connect with the characters pretty well. Anduin is baby. I felt much safer being in the Alliance, on the Alliance side. So I was like, okay, well, I'll play Alliance through this expansion, see what happens, yada yada. Whoops, I walked right into that. I deserved that. Oh, whoops, no, don't do that. So, BFA begins with Sargeras shoving his sword into Azeroth. Many people were, and this is where I'm going to start deep diving, and posing questions and things to think about. Because before I watched, so one of the new YouTubers that I've started watching is Akalon. Funny South African big guy. Sub to him on YouTube and follow him on Twitch and everything. He kind of opened my eyes with his lore theories and his speculations about the decisions that Sylvanas has made. So, the start of BFA, Sargeras is trying, or what we thought was trying, to destroy Azeroth. But he kind of didn't, did he? He had all that time. Wow, woo! That was bad idea. He didn't. And it was only until watching Akalon that I realized, oh man, he's fucking right. Sargeras didn't destroy Azeroth. He had plenty of time to. I mean, come on. He's a goddamn titan. He had time. While we were purging the Legion from Azeroth and Argus, he had the time. He was biding time to do something worse. Now this is where the speculation starts, and where I really liked Akalon's theories. So his theory is that Sargeras was actually not looking to destroy Azeroth and the world's, the Titan spirit sleeping inside of her. He was trying to corrupt Azeroth. Because while we were doing the Burning Throne and taking out Gul'dan and all of that fun stuff, if you pay attention to the background when you're in the seat of the Pantheon. So when you're in the seat of the Pantheon and you're battling against the Argus's Titan Soul, poor thing. When you're battling against Argus's Titan Soul, instead of immediately trying to, just kind of zap Azeroth out of existence, he's enveloping Azeroth in that, like, really big, like, cloud of smoke. And, I always kind of, I was like, well, that's peculiar, but I'm not going to question it, because I didn't really have any reason to question it until, oh dear, what did she unplug? Dorian, what did you do? Stop it! Oh, hang on. Something unplugged. I don't know what it was. I think I got it, though. Okay. So, yeah. He didn't actually, he didn't destroy Azeroth. Even plunging his sword into Silithus didn't destroy Azeroth because he missed. He was trying to hit what we all know as the Heart Chamber, which is the heart of Azeroth. It's the heart of the Titan Soul. So if he had actually gotten into Azeroth's Titan Soul, into the Chamber of Heart, and corrupted Azeroth, he would have made another Argus, basically. And having a corrupted Titan Soul is not great. It's not fun. Argus was a terrifying force for us to battle against. Even though the fight seemed, I don't want to say easy, because it definitely wasn't easy. If you did that shit in real time, it was not easy. But he was still, like, at, like, a fraction of his actual power, because he had just been woken up, and the entire time that he'd been alive, he'd been corrupted his entire life, and then was pulled out of Argus too soon. So even though killing Argus took so fucking much, it was still only barely his fully realized powers. Where are we going? Weren't we just back here? Can I get help, please? I don't like being chased by squiggly alien things. So, we defeat Argus. Sargeras shoves his sword into Azeroth. And then BFA starts. And the sword is still there. We don't really know what it's doing. We can kind of guess, but we don't actually know. Its original intent was probably to send down energy into Azeroth to corrupt her. That was probably the original intent, but it missed, and so it failed. But, now Azeroth is hurt, yada yada, go through BFA. And then, at the end of BFA, close to the end. As BFA progresses, the Horde starts falling apart. Naturally. Because no one trusts Sylvanas anymore. You know, BFA, she was practically MIA in the beginning. And everyone was like, okay, well, what the fuck is she doing? And then we figured out that she was making deals with Helya. And, you know, to try and capture Aegir to create more Valkyrs so that she could stay alive longer and use their power to raise more Forsaken. That's what that whole interaction with Helya and Gen, that's what that was. She was trying to capture Aegir to essentially keep herself and supposedly her people alive for longer, or to raise more, which is interesting. I have always made connections between Sylvanas and the Lich King. Now, yeah, Sylvanas fucking hates the Lich King. But isn't she essentially doing the same thing? She just gives her Forsaken, her undead forces, a little bit more free will than the Lich King gave his. Because the Lich King didn't give them any freedom at all. They were the mindless undead scourge. Even the Death Knights started out as mind slaves to the Lich King. That's how the Lich King operates. That's how he is the king of the scourge. That's his whole thing. So, yeah, Sylvanas is doing pretty much the same thing by wanting to enslave Aegir, capture her in the soul cage to raise more Valkyr. So I always thought, I thought that was really weird when it first came up. I was like, okay, well, why is she doing this? Like, there has to be a reason why she wanted to continue raising Forsaken. Because everything that she'd done beforehand in the beginning of BFA led me to believe, anyway, and I think a lot of other people, that she was just looking out for herself. Sylvanas has a very single-minded way of doing things. And she has since Wrath of the Lich King. Ever since she tried to kill herself by throwing herself off Ice Crown and ending up in the Maw, because Sylvanas won't go anywhere else. Sylvanas is going to the Maw. When and if she dies, she will be stuck in the Maw forever. As a tortured, unredeemable soul. That is her destiny. So, when she did that, throw herself off of Ice Crown and essentially kill herself because, hey, Arthur, the Lich King is dead, I no longer have a purpose for living. So she was like, time to go. And then she ended up in what we know now as the Maw, a realm where you are trapped, living the most torturous existence. And I think that is when she figured out, that is when she became the Sylvanas that we know today. Because Sylvanas before Wrath of the Lich King was quiet. She didn't really do much. She was always kind of this silent observer in the Horde. And most of the Horde during that time very much looked down on her because her methods were not what the Horde wanted to represent. Because, you know, the Horde is all about honor and all of that, and, you know, which is a very hard thing to continue to defend through BFA. And Sarfang even says it. The Horde has never known honor. So, I think when Sylvanas ended up in the Maw, when she threw herself from Ice Crown, that is when she figured out what really happens to us when we die. And this is so spoilers for Shadowlands, this is gonna go into some information. So, when they first announced Shadowlands, of course everyone was super hyped for it, and, you know, we're leaving Azeroth, we're leaving this plane of existence to discuss. Oh, I got an egg. Interesting. We're going to Shadowlands. We're going to this whole other plane of existence that none of us have ever been familiar with. You know, because when your player character dies, you become a spirit, and then you travel back to your body.
What is this? A lowly gnome? I will do better.
And so Shadowlands is kind of showing us some interesting differences, I suppose. I don't really know how else to explain it. Also, hello, welcome everybody that just joined the stream. Please excuse my... I am going to make some points that I'm not going to elaborate on, and I'm going to say things that I am going to get distracted from and turn around and say them again. So, welcome. I do not have a one-track mind. I have a 7-track mind, and they try to all go in the same direction at one time. Doesn't really work. Explaining things is difficult for me because my brain doesn't work that way. Anyway, so Sylvanas goes to the Maw, and we're coming back to that. See what I mean? Sylvanas ends up in the Maw, and she's like, holy shit, nothing matters. She's like, this is what happens to us when we die. I don't think she realizes it doesn't happen to everyone, and not everyone goes to the Maw, but as we've learned through the Alpha, which again, to those joining, I do not have access to. I'm going off of information I've learned from blue posts and other people playing on the Alpha. So I apologize, but I'm not important enough to get the Alpha status. So Sylvanas is like, okay, well, shit. When we die, we're gonna end up in this, like eternal damnation kind of thing. Like, we're going to be tortured for the rest of our, like, lives. Soul lives. The rest of your, like, spiritual existence.
I am your humble servant.
And through the Alpha, we figured out that it's not only the Maw that tortures the denizens, the spirits of their realm. So, in Bastion, the Kyrians, the beings that the Valkyr are modeled after, that because what's his name? The like really important Odin, that guy. He modeled his Valkyr off of the Kyrians. And so in Bastion, if you die and your soul is sent to, get me out of this. If you die and your soul is sent to Bastion, then you are... You're forced to conform to their ideals, to their very shitty way of life. Oh, I thought it said slapped. I was like, slapped? Why did I get slapped? Sapped. I'm dumb. And this happens in all of the areas. In every area in the Shadowlands. Your soul is twisted in both physically and mentally to become part of that faction, part of that realm. And one line of dialogue that stood out the most, that I've seen in the blue posts and I saw of people playing the alpha, was, yep, I'll keep going with this group, was that it was a Forsworn. So the Forsworn is the opposite of the Kyrian. So with what Bastion does, what the Kyrians do, is they twist your soul into, I guess not. I'm just gonna go into an emotionless husk of who you once were. So they strip you of your emotions and they strip you of your soul's identity. They take it away from you. And one of the lines that really stands out is that one of the Forsworn, who are the Kyrian that refuse to give up their identities, their personalities, their everything they know about themselves. When they refuse to conform to become a Kyrian, they become a Forsworn, and they're shunned from Bastion, and they're kicked out. I came here for a reason. So the Forsworn, one of them said that the process of becoming a Kyrian, the process of them removing your identity, of changing your very being to be in Bastion, to be a Kyrian, is like, I think he said, it's like being like killed 1,000 tiny times. And I was like, whew. I was like, holy shit, that's not good. So it's not just the Maw that tortures its denizens to conform to their covenant, to their faction. And I was like, hey, that's kind of messed up. Like, obviously. I wouldn't want I wouldn't want my very existence, to be stripped from me just to have wings and be pretty and live in a Titan castle. Like, thanks, but I think I'd rather be myself. And there's bits of information of this sort in every covenant. The Maldraxxus, when your soul gets sent to Maldraxxus, you either stay there in Maldraxxus and conform to their ways, or if you want to keep your identity as you had in life, they take your soul and rip it apart, and then you're formed into an abomination. So far, we don't know what the denizens of Ardenweald do yet, and I want to believe that they're not that cruel, but all of them are pretty fucked up. The Venthyr if you don't conform and become a Venthyr, they just send you straight to the Maw. They're just like, not see you later, done. And it's like, wow, guys. So every realm has its own form of, you guys suck, you're torturing these poor souls that have just died on the mortal plane and are coming to you for rebirth, redemption, yada yada, but they don't want to just do that and let you be who you are. They want to do that, reform you as a completely new person, and then send you back for rebirth. And it's creepy. It's weird. And so Sylvanas learns while in the Maw, she's like, obviously, when we die, none of the things that we did on the mortal plane, on Azeroth, on wherever, because this is the thing that kind of is interesting to me. Every soul, wherever in the cosmos they died from, could be on a planet fucking light years away from Azeroth. Doesn't matter. Every mortal soul that dies is funneled into the Shadowlands. Now, for now, we only know of the 5 realms of the Shadowlands. There could be more. There probably are more. But I find it odd that every soul on the mortal plane that dies is funneled into one location. Location. One. That's hard to grasp because there's a lot that's going on there. It's just, it's weird. And I was like, well, why are they all funneling to one place? And Akalon actually, because I've been watching his videos, made a really interesting point. This links back to all of the BFA dialogue. Just came to complain about how I just wasted hours of my life. Mass Effect crashed. No, Heather, no, I'm so sorry. Oh, Manitombs. Oh, okay. Oh man, honey, that sucks. I'm so sorry, love. So yeah, it's weird that every mortal soul in existence is funneled into Erebos, is judged by the Arbiter, just the Arbiter, mind you, big oof, aww, is judged by the Arbiter, who is broken right now. So, all the souls, right now, are just going straight to the Maw. All of them. I was almost done. Oh, sad. And this is the interesting part, I suppose. Since all the souls are being funneled into the Maw, and we know when this happens, too. Ysera was the last soul that, before the system broke. So before all of the souls were starting to be directly funneled into the Maw, Ysera was the last one. So that puts the breaking of the Shadowlands, that puts the breaking of the cycle right after, or because of, Ysera's death. And I was like, huh, interesting. Now I get to repeat the last 2 hours. Ugh, oof, babe, I'm so sorry. So, and if you remember correctly, if you played through all of the all of the areas in BFA, you know that Ysera died corrupted by the Emerald Nightmare. She died corrupted by the Void? Not really the Void. The Emerald Nightmare is an offshoot that was created by the old gods. Because there's this constant back and forth battle of the old gods and the void and the light and the dark trying to infiltrate one another constantly for millennia. So Ysera dies, and the whole system in the Shadowlands falls apart. The Arbiter is dormant. She is no longer judging souls. So everyone is going to the Maw. We view this as a very bad thing, because the Maw is basically like the ultimate hellscape. That's it. That's what the Maw is. The Maw is the worst form of hell. And so we're like, okay, well shit. If everyone's going to the Maw, this is not good. This is really bad. So our job in the Shadowlands is to... I don't know how the pre-patch is going to go. No, damn it. I don't know how the pre-patch is gonna go. I'm pretty positive it's gonna have something to... something... Oh, that was just a DK. It's gonna have something to do with the Scourge and Bolvar. Because the Helm of Domination isn't working. So the Scourge is now just fucking running rampant. They no longer have to... They no longer are being held back by the Lich King. And... one thing that Alcalon said made me really think about this. Bolvar wasn't really the Lich King. Bolvar was Bolvar. And all he was doing, and the way he, okay, at the end of Wrath of the Lich King, you kill Arthas, and Bolvar takes his place. But he doesn't say, I will become the Lich King. He says he's going to be the jailer of the damned. That's not the same thing. Arthas was not the jailer of the damned. He was the Lich King. He controlled the Scourge, but he still had, you know, he still had his agenda and was very much resolutely the Lich King. Bolvar took his place reluctantly. He never truly accepted the power of the Lich King. So that's why Sylvanas calls him a usurper of the Frozen Throne, because Bolvar isn't the Lich King. He never explicitly took on the duties of being the Lich King. He took the crown in order to hold back the Scourge, and that was it. That was the only thing he decided to do with it. Even through like the DK storyline in Legion, he wasn't active. He didn't really do anything. You know, he sat on the Frozen Throne and spoke from inside a ice box, basically. So Sylvanas calls him, ooh, new leather pants. Sylvanas calls him the usurper of the Frozen Throne, of the Frozen Throne. And at first I didn't really understand what that meant, because I was like, well, how would he be the usurper if Arthas died? There would be no one to usurp at that point. But Bolvar's not really the Lich King. He's just kind of sitting there holding... He's the jailer of the damned. That's all he is. All he's doing is holding him back. So, you know, when that... oh man. When that cinematic of Sylvanas going to the throne and confronting Bolvar, when that came out, I absolutely thought she was going to put on the crown of domination. I think everybody kind of thought that. And then we were completely fucking turned around. And she ripped it in half. That scene is going to remain one of the most, like, iconic, one of the most iconic scenes in WoW to date. Like, that's gonna be talked about for a long time. Bet. So Sylvanas goes and destroys the helm, you know, the helm of domination, the crown of domination, and rips open a hole to the Shadowlands. And I was talking to Heather about this the other day, and I was thinking to myself, and I was like, how the hell is the crown of domination linked to the Shadowlands? At one point, or at what point did that connect? Weren't Arthas and the Presence known as the Lich King two different beings? Yes, they were. So, Arthas is the Prince of Lordaeron. He did not become the Lich King until he put on the helm. So, the series of events that happens. He is tricked, basically, by, one of the demons of the Legion. For Christ's sake, I can't remember his name right now. He's basically, his only goal at that point, when he found Frostmourne, was to destroy, was to kill the Legion, I don't understand why I can't remember his name. His goal when he found Frostmourne was to kill the demon that had polluted his city with the scourged seed. And so he got Frostmourne. He and one of the Bronzebeard brothers, I can't remember which one it is. He and one of the Bronzebeard brothers ventured out into the frozen wastes and found Frostmourne. This was the first seed that was planted into Arthas' brain that this was the path he needed to take. And it took me, so again, it took me a long time to catch up on all the lore and like actually know what happened from like beginning to end. In the beginning, I was like, I don't understand how Arthas could have done all these things. You know, he slaughtered all the people in his own city. But then, as I got older and actually learned the lore behind it, Arthas wasn't really... Magni, yes, thank you. You're going too fast for me to reply to one thing. I know, I'm sorry, I talk fast. I couldn't remember if it was Magni or Bronn who took him out there. So, Arthas picks up Frostmourne, yada yada, and he kills the demon, whatever the hell his name was, because I, for some reason, my brain's not working. So he kills him, and he's like, okay, great, killed that guy, my people should be safe. Except then he figured out that they weren't. Or I guess he didn't quite figure out as much as he was tricked and told by Ner'zhul. Because Ner'zhul, aka the Lich King, was telling Arthas through Frostmourne that he wasn't done yet. That the people of Azeroth, that the people of Lordaeron and the people of, you know, the people he'd been trying to keep safe were still in trouble. And Ner'zhul was like, hey, so you should help me out. Raise the army of the dead. And, you know, do all this bad stuff. And Arthas was like, yeah, okay, well that makes sense, because he was being controlled through Frostmourne. Ner'zhul was controlling him, even though Arthas did technically make these decisions on his own. He did. He made these decisions. But he was, at the same time, he was being influenced to think that they were the right decisions. Arthas' entire goal was literally to protect the people he loved. That is what he wanted to do. And in doing so, unfortunately, what's happening? Those decisions just ended up not being very good ones. So, the more corrupted Arthas became, with Ner'zhul whispering in his ear all the time, you know, he finally made his way out to the Frozen Throne. And, well, he went back to Lordaeron and killed his father, for one. Which was crazy. Also, even back then, that cinematic was pretty dope. So he returns to Lordaeron and kills his father. And then he's like, hey, Deuce. And he returns to, oh dear, you just pulled almost the whole room. Okay. And then after he kills his father, he ends up needing the aid of, you know, he needed more power. So, I hope I'm saying this in the correct order. It's been a while since I actually watched or read all of this in like actual order. Oh yeah, great. Thanks, guys. All right. Nice. Okay, so guess I pulled too much. Gotta let him run around corner. Yeah. Please don't pull that much next time. I'm unsure my long message are actually going through in chat. Your long messages? I mean, I'm seeing all the messages that happen to come in. I don't know if there were more than that are actually getting through. How did we get on the topic of Arthas? I don't remember. I've been talking too much. So yeah, Arthas does a bunch of bad stuff, kills a bunch of people, kills his dad. And then he destroys the Sunwell. And raises Kel'Thuzad. And then I think at that point, after he raises Kel'Thuzad, he does a bunch of other bad stuff. All in the idea that he, you know, he's saving people. That this is the right thing to do. Again, because he's being manipulated by Ner'zhul. Gonna send you a screenshot. Tell me if you got the message. Okay. Why did you start pulling if none of us were over here? Dude. Come on, dude. My health left. Yep, help me. Madam Priesty Prue. Dying. Alright, there we go. That's better. So he does a bunch of other stuff, raises Kel'Thuzad, starts the school in Shalomance, creates just nasty people. Let's see. Oh, no, that didn't come through. That's weird. He didn't even become the Lich King. Arthas was trapped in his own body. Yes, in a manner of speaking, the entity known as the Lich King technically in through the crown of Frostmourne. So, the Lich King, Ner'zhul, because Ner'zhul, if you don't know the origin of the Lich King, Ner'zhul was an orc from Draenor that was captured and tortured by the Legion and turned into the Lich King. They tore his body apart, sent him out into the fucking void, and then they were like, we have plans for you. Don't appear during stream, so I assumed you weren't getting them. No, I wasn't. Sent another way back about when we were talking about other people not talking in dungeons. Oh, really? So Ner'zhul was turned into, it was an orc warlock, much like Gul'dan, who was tortured and pulled apart by the Legion and turned into the Lich King. When Arthas put on the helm of domination, he and the Lich King, he and Ner'zhul, resided in the same body. So, what else did you say? He was only able to take control of Arthas because of his weakness. One mindset to get Malagos. No, Malagos is a Blue Dragonflight member. Reason Braun wasn't Lich King, we put on the crown. Because Ner'zhul, Braun never put on the crown. Didn't have a way to corrupt him. At least that was how I remember it. Braun never put on the crown. Are you talking about Bolvar? Because if you meant Bolvar, then sure. We don't really know what's happened with. We don't understand what's happened beneath the hood when it comes to Bolvar. We don't know if Ner'zhul is even still there, or if, why do I keep getting these things? Or if Arthas really did just destroy him. Because when Arthas put on the crown for at the Frozen Throne, before Wrath of the Lich King in Warcraft 3, when he put on the crown, what happened is he fell asleep, essentially. Which is why he was dormant up until Wrath of the Lich King. He didn't wake up until then. I don't know where Braun came from. That's fine. So Arthas was put into this coma state from putting on the helm. And during that time, so the man we know as Arthas, Ner'zhul, and the final sliver that remained of his humanity dwelled within his mind. That's what his break was about. That's why he was in that coma. It's good. So during that time, in his sleep phase, his dormant phase before he woke up in Wrath of the Lich King, during that time, he actually, Arthas, because he'd been corrupted for so long by Ner'zhul and the Helm and Frostmourne, because he'd had to endure that for so long, he really wasn't Arthas anymore. Arthas was the small child. The way it's described is Arthas, Ner'zhul, and himself as a young boy are sitting at a table. Ner'zhul is to Arthas' left, and the portion of him, the small child, is sitting on his right. And he recognizes this child as himself. And he realizes that it is all that's left of who he was. It's the final thread of his humanity. So, and this is explained in Arthas's, he has his own book, like there's a book series about the Lich King. So during this time, he is conversing with Ner'zhul and his dead self, essentially. His last part of humanity. He's conversating with them, and you know, the little boy tries to convince him that, you know, you haven't given up. You know, I've been here the whole time. You do still have humanity in you. And you just have to come back to it. And the more Arthas talks to his younger self, talks to that sliver of humanity, because in the beginning, the boy is sickly and pale, and his skin is gray, and he just looks like he's about to die. So the more that Arthas fixates on this part within himself, the healthier the boy starts to become. And he's like, I know you haven't given up. And he gets up out of his chair. And Arthas gets up out of his chair. And they meet, and the little boy raises his arms and he's like, accept me. You know, this is it. This is your last chance. You know, I know you want to do this. And then Arthas bends down onto one knee, places his hand on the boy's shoulder. And he's like, you don't exist. None of this is real. And he takes Frostmourne and stabs the little boy. And he disappears. So the last shred of Arthas' humanity, he destroyed himself. Even though previously he'd been holding on to that the whole time. So then Ner'zhul on the other side of the table is like cheering, and he's like, fuck yeah, you did it. He's like, perfect. Now we can rule. You know, you're no longer being like held back by that child, by that part of yourself. And Arthas turns to him, and he's like, yeah. He's like, you're right. I no longer need that part of myself. He's like, and I no longer need you. And Ner'zhul's like, yo, wait, hang on. He's like, dude, you need me. And he's like, nah. No, I don't. And he stabs Ner'zhul. And, you know, when you stab someone with Frostmourne, Frostmourne absorbs their souls. So, he kills Ner'zhul and absorbs the Lich King. He absorbs Ner'zhul into Frostmourne, which he holds. So, at that point, Arthas is truly the Lich King. Which is interesting when we kill him. So at that point, he's destroyed that part, that last sliver of his humanity is gone. And he is fully, he is now the Lich King. That's it. Arthas is the Lich King. Before then, Arthas was still Arthas. Now he's not. He is no longer Arthas, Prince of Lordaeron. He is the Lich King. So then he wakes up and Wrath of the Lich King begins. And blah blah blah, everyone's played it. Pretty much everyone knows the story of Lich King. You know, we invade Icecrown Citadel. He sends the Scourge across Azeroth. We repel the forces. We raid Icecrown. Sylvanas' alchemist. I don't. It's unclear because I never like found like a clear answer if it was Sylvanas that made this decision or if it was just like that one alchemist that was like, oh well, Sylvanas probably wants this, so let's do it. He releases the Blight on top of Horde and Alliance alike at the Wrathgate, and Bolvar dies. That's where Bolvar and Sarfang's son die. Is at the Wrathgate when the Blight is released down onto them on the steps of the Wrathgate. Well, Bolvar's actually killed by the Lich King, killed by Arthas, and then Bolvar falls to the plague, to the Blight. So Bolvar dies, and then the Bronze Dragonflight, you know, the Horde and Alliance retreat, and then the Bronze Dragonflight flies over and blows their flames to disperse, you know, to disperse the Blight, get rid of it. In that action, they also somehow bring Bolvar back to life, which is why he's all like molten and fiery, is because he was like rebirthed through the flames of the Bronze Dragonflight. I don't really get it, but there's plenty of things in WoW lore that don't necessarily make sense. And then we continue, do all the dungeons, we take all the stuff from Arthas, and we finally take him down. And when he dies, he says an interesting line. And I never thought about it because I've run Icecrown a million times, just like everyone else, to try and get that stupid horse mount that literally never drops for anyone. Not for anyone. I know people that have Invincible, but I've run Icecrown like 700 times and I've never gotten it. So I'm convinced I'll never get it. So we take Arthas down, and as he dies, the like blue aura of the Lich King fades from his eyes, and he's talking to the ghost of his father. And you know, what does he say exactly? He's like, I don't remember what he said. He said something that made you think, and like, was Arthas still in there somewhere? Even after, because he felt remorse. Oh, he said to his father, he said, is it over? Like, Arthas was still there, even at the very end. Even after he killed that part of himself, he was still in there, somewhat. And at the very end, he asks the spirit of his father, is it over? And his father says, no king lives forever, my son. And then Arthas says, you know, I see only darkness before me. And that was it. It's very strange. And then if you did the mythic dungeon, I think it was, you actually picked up 3 trinkets from Arthas, 3 quest items. And one of them, they're all like memento things. So one of them is the I think Sylvanas's... It's something that belonged to Sylvanas. Something from Silvermoon. I think it was a sigil. I think it was her, like, officer sigil or something. Like, Nathanos carries on him. Spoiler! Nathanos actually carries his officer sigil from when he was the captain of the guard in Silvermoon. That's a whole other story that I hate Nathanos. I don't like him. Never have. I don't think I ever will. I don't like Nathanos. But I'll get to that. I think. So yeah. So you pick up these items, and another of the items was a locket that Jaina gave to him. Because they were a thing for like many years. And you take it to her, and she's all like, oh my god, I knew he was still in there. I can't believe he had this. Thank you. Back then, I didn't like Jaina. I like Jaina now. Jaina's a badass now. Back then, Jaina was kind of like a little whiny baby. I mean, she's always been like one of the most powerful mages in the game. And it's been said by many players, or many lore characters, that Jaina is one of the most powerful mages on Azeroth. That she was one of she was actually one of the first humans to practice in Dalaran. Because Dalaran had like originally only been for, I think, for elves. But yeah, so Arthas dies, and there was something left of Arthas in there, and I found that. I did this morning. So yeah, it leaves a lot of unanswered questions about how much of your own humanity you keep if you've been corrupted for so long. So I really like Arthas' story. I think it's one of the most fleshed out stories that Blizz has ever done. And then Sylvanas' character goes really in depth after that. So after Arthas is killed, she, like I said earlier, throws herself off of Icecrown, dies, goes to the Maw, figures out that nothing matters. That even in life, if we worship the light or Elune or whatever else the denizens of Azeroth choose to worship, it doesn't matter, because the gods don't care. And they don't care because when our souls, or when the mortal souls are sent to the Shadowlands, they benefit from that. And that leads into the whole purpose behind Sylvanas' actions in BFA. So when she, good God, I was not a happy camper when she burned the tree down. Because at first, it obviously, to us at the time, without knowing anything about Shadowlands, it just looked like an act of pure hate. But it wasn't. Or at least not what the lore buffs are theorizing. Yes, it was really fucked up. It was a huge it was a huge lesson, is what it was supposed to be, from her perspective. Because no one really believed her. So when she said to Sarfang, or I guess to everyone, during their Matgara, when she said that you're all nothing, she knows that mortal souls are nothing to the gods. That's what the implication was meant to be. And it was a little extreme to burn down the roll tree and, you know, basically commit genocide against the Night Elves. But the whole reason behind her doing that wasn't necessarily malice. Obviously, she is not friendly with the Night Elves, or with really anyone, to be honest. She's just not... She doesn't have a good time being friends with people anymore. Nathanos was the closest thing she had to getting close with someone, being intimate with someone else. Because they were actually intimate with one another. Where's the thing I'm attacking? Hello? Thank you. And as you know, Nathanos is the only human to have ever been accepted into the ranks of the Blood Elves. Ever. And he was a captain because she loved him. Like, that was it. I mean, obviously, like, he's a pretty good shot, but anyway. So Sylvanas' point in burning down a tree, and what everyone failed to understand, because we didn't have the implications that we have now from Shadowlands, is that she actually knows something that the rest of Azeroth doesn't. You know, she knows that when we die, we go to the Shadowlands, and the gods don't protect us. They don't care if we wage war and destroy one another. They don't care, because they benefit from our death. Because in the Shadowlands, our souls, mortal souls, generate anima. And anima is used to feed the denizens of the Shadowlands. So we're basically, you know, the mortals are just fodder. That's it. And Sylvanas was the first one to figure this out. And so she burns Teldrassil to prove a point. She said that no matter how fucked up something, no matter how fucked up shit gets, your gods are not here to protect you. That was her thing. Really messed up. But that was why. And so at the time, you know, players were enraged by Arthas' actions. And now we're just kind of starting to see, like, kind of what the point of it all was. And it's very hard to see, because we don't technically have any, like, substantial evidence that this is why. But it kind of makes sense. Because if she knows, because she's been there, she knows what happens after we die. And if she's the only one that knows, then she's gonna make people understand, goddammit. But, and one of the lines from the cinematics is, from her Warbringers episode, is that she's made life and hope her enemy. And that's 100% true. Because there's no point to her. There's no point. Because we're gonna die and suffer for eternity anyway. So what's the point of relying on these gods that don't actually you know, give a shit about the people that worship them. And I was like, whoa. And I was like, man, I never fucking thought of that. But I guess it kind of fits, I suppose. So, what I was seeing from Akalon's videos, and what I'm kind of starting to understand, is that it's very likely in the Shadowlands that the Arbiter, the Covenants, the Titans, the Gods are not our friends. Again, this is theory. I have no concrete evidence that this is truth. Justice for Jenna Marbles? What the hell does that mean? What happened to her? But yeah, so I think Shadowlands is gonna be really interesting. I think we're gonna go through Shadowlands, go through the Covenants, go through the storylines, and then at the end, figure out we were wrong. Which is gonna be scary if we end up being wrong about everything. And there is like an overlying there's an overlying piece of information that I don't think anyone's ever considered. We've never lost in an expansion. Like, whatever we've had to come up against in the past, whether it be the Burning Legion, a corrupted war chief, you know, just, you know, the Lich King, the goddamn, we've never lost. We always end up coming out on top. Always. What if we don't this time? What if Shadowlands is gonna be the expansion where we lose? And it may not last forever, because, you know, I feel like many people would lose their fucking minds if it was just like, oh, end of Shadowlands, the end. Like, I highly doubt that's going to happen. But what if we're wrong? What if going to the Shadowlands and everything that we've been told is a lie? What are we gonna do then? Off topic, because my Volpara is forsaken. No! I want to level! I want to level my hunter. It's just that no one ever says anything, so I've just like, I've been like, all right, well, I guess we're done with that. So yeah, I think Shadowlands is gonna be really exciting. So far, all of the details and the data coming from the alpha and blue text posts have been interesting. Some of it's a little scary. But it's definitely going to be an interesting, I think it's going to be on par or better than Legion. Especially with all the changes that they've been making and, you know, listening to the players and taking into account, like, what we enjoy, what we don't enjoy. I just want them to fix druids. Tired of playing a feral druid and getting no love. It's just my favorite, okay? I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I need to level my demon hunter too. He's almost 120. He's 116 right now. But I'm tired of playing feral druid and then like not getting, oh, that was not the one I wanted to do. You've been wanting to play forever Heather always says she's gonna see what you are doing, and then nothing ever happens. You guys never ask me. See what I'm doing. Neither of you are like, hey, let's go level our babies. I would absolutely 100% be down for leveling babies at any point. Well, obviously, you know, like, when I'm not working. That's, clearly that's a given. No one asks if I want to. Yes, Heather will ask what I'm doing. But she'll never say, hey, what are you doing? Kenny and I want to level our alts. It's always just, hey, what are you doing? And I'll tell her what I'm doing. And then, like, that's it. I'm like, alright, cool. I'll just ask you next time. Bad middleman. Don't listen to him, Heather. You're not a bad middleman. Maybe I'm the one not taking the hint. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of dumb sometimes. You just gotta like straight up say, hey, let's go level our baby alts, and I'll be like, yeah, dude, let's do it. Where's the loot body? There it is. Because, like, most of the time she asks me, again, most of the time she asks me what I'm doing, which is fine, but then that's it. She's just like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm doing this. Oh, okay. Alright. No! No, 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 no! I'm gonna pull mobs. Oh. Why are you on me? Help! 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 Help, help, help! Tank, help! Thanks. I am weak, baby! I'm child. Because when you're free next time to level? I don't know, probably tomorrow. If Heather is up for it, I don't know. Why is he frozen? There it goes. What day is tomorrow? What? Oh no! Tank! 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 Help! Tank! Man, any day after work that I don't have plans, I'm always generally free to play. As long as I'm not like sucked into do something and like doing something important, then we can go whenever. Oh, I got the Orb of the Sindora again. Well, okay, money heals. Then tomorrow, if Heather's up for it, sure. I wouldn't mind. Because tomorrow's Friday, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if Heather's down, then I'm down. I want to get that little hunter up to par. Oh, one thing I wanted to discuss. It totally slipped my mind. I'm gonna have to, I have to like look it up because I made comments. Well, I made comments to Heather. I talked Heather's ears off because I have no control over my big mouth and just kept saying stuff, and she was probably sitting there and is like, what do you, she's like, I don't know how to answer to this. I don't have an answer to this situation. Okay. It's going over data mine lines for Shadowlands, blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's okay. That's one thing I want to say. So, in the Shadowlands, in a data mine, text. So, subject to change. It may or may not happen. But I'm pretty sure it will, because it seems, I mean, that's a big, okay. So, Anduin is missing. And I'm like, no, baby! So in the beginning of Shadowlands, Anduin is missing. No one knows where he is. No one knows. He's just missing. There's no context to these data mined conversation lines. But he's missing. And I'm like, you can't take my beautiful golden baby away. I swear to God. If Anduin ends up dying, I will just, I will be so sad. I will be so sad. You can't take the pretty golden boy away. So again, with no context of where he is, there's no, there's nothing that says where he's gone. He's just missing. So during this data mine text discusses, I'm not even attacking right now. This data mine text discusses, or at least gives a conversation between I think Matthias and Gen. So a conversation between Matthias and Gen. And I'm pretty sure it's Matthias, because they call, apparently they call us into... Can you stop bouncing me? That would be great. Yeah, okay. So they say, Matthias says, champion, you're needed, and blah, blah, blah. And then him and Gen start talking. And apparently they are trying to figure out, while Anduin is missing and not on the throne, who should be stand-in king. Who should lead Azeroth in his absence. And it's between Gen Greymane and Turalyon. So So between Gen Greymane Gen Greymane and Turalyon. And to me, both of these options are really problematic. Because Gen is the king of nothing right now. He's king of the Gilneans, but Gilneas no longer... It's not... There is... It still stands, but we haven't done anything to, like, reclaim it. Which... Hold that thought. Talking to myself. So, it's between Gen and Turalyon. And then... There have been many, like, whispers from the old gods that have almost always come true. In almost every case but one, they are true. They've come true. And I was watching an Akalon video. He says one of the whispers. And it has to do with... I can kind of remember, but this is not by quote. When the shattered mask hangs above your hearth and the golden one sits upon the throne is when it will be too late. Hey, Anthony. Is this where I can buy a penguin? No, unfortunately, I have no penguins to sell. So that whisper is weird. The golden one. He's obviously referring to someone of the light, because the light is gold. And it could either be Anduin, because he's a priest. He's like a battle priest now, but he's still a priest. He follows the light. He's very dedicated. So it could be Anduin, or it could be Turalyon. Turalyon being the High Exarch, the leader of the fucking light militia. Oh, hey, thanks so much for the bits. I really appreciate it. Sell penguins here. Hey, you know what? I'll try. I'll get right on that. Let me just stock up on some penguins, and then I'll let you know. So that whisper is very I mean, they're always cryptic, and it's always like you don't know what it's about until it happens. So I have a feeling we're not gonna know who it's gonna be until this whisper comes to light. So there's that piece of data mine information. The next thing is something I'm not upset about. So okay, I've played a night elf for a long time, and specifically a night elf druid for a long time. And what's up, fam? I've always been in the presence of and aware of, you know, Tyrande and Malfurion. I've never necessarily enjoyed their characters. I mean, come on, they were kind of, they were assholes to Illidan. And then we found out, you know, Illidan get his redemption arc and everything's hunky-dory. Yeah, at this point I think I'm just talking to myself. Kenny's like, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna listen. So, anyway, I'm not too invested in their characters. Malfurion more so than Tyrande, just because Malfurion was the first druid, and he is very much intertwined with the druid lore. But he's a dick, so I don't really know. And Tyrande has been part of lore for literally since the beginning of WoW. Like, it's fine. I know of them. It's not, I'm not necessarily gonna lose my shit if anything happens to him. So in BFA, when Teldrassil is burned, Tyrande goes through the ritual of becoming, unless I hear something to comment on. That's fair. Tyrande goes through the ritual of becoming the Night Warrior. And that's why my character has black eyes. It's because I have like the Night Warrior appearance. So as a Night Warrior, the Night Warrior is the physical embodiment of Elun's wrath. That is literally what it is. So Tyrande became the Night Warrior and was infused with all of this ridiculous power. And so it was found in data mine text from the first Night Warrior and his husband talking about how becoming the Night Warrior will kill you. No exceptions. Becoming the Night Warrior, taking on that power from Elun, will destroy you eventually. So, Tyrande's gonna die. Is it going to be in Shadowlands? I don't know. But now we have a basis. Now we know that Tyrande will die because she became the Night Warrior. Even if, and they go over this, the first Night Warrior and his husband talk about how they split the power between the two of them, and they both died. Looking up some insane internet conspiracies. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Tyranda's gonna die. Don't know when, but she will. And then Heather asks if there's anything about the Horde, and the only thing that's popped up so far is, Nathanos. We confront him at his home. Like, his home from when he was alive. At Maristead. And we possibly kill him? Maybe? I don't know. She might have a crazy power arc. Crazy with power arc. Oh, absolutely. Tyranda's already... I mean... They've spun her character so interestingly. Like, she's just full on... vengeful at this point towards Sylvanas. And fuck, I don't blame her. I mean, if someone committed genocide and burned down my home, I would be pretty pissed off too. You know? It's and the sad part is not only is she vengeful towards Sylvanas, she's also encompassing the whole Horde with it, because she's like, well, they were there. Because this was before Sarfang and Bane and all of them defected from Sylvanas' rule. So I think some crazy shit's gonna go down with Tyrande before her ultimate demise. And it's kind of interesting because Tyrande and Gen do not agree with Anduin about the treaty with the Horde. They're not cool with it. Because obviously she's kind of similar to Sylvanas. Oh yeah, because Sylvanas was the same kind of vengeful. 100%. Absolutely. That's it. Tyrande is going down not the same path, clearly, but a very similar one to the one Sylvanas took when she became the Banshee Queen. And I don't see that ending well for Tyrande. It's gonna be kind of a crazy ride. And the part of that so there's a lot of build up right now in the alpha that is pointing to the Alliance falling apart. There's gonna be some serious infighting between Anduin being gone and the throne being empty, and Gen and Turalyon not fighting for it, but fighting for it, kind of. Tyrande defecting from the Alliance, essentially, which is not abnormal for Night Elves. The Night Elves have usually just fucking kept to themselves, generally speaking, unless it's like necessary to help and their lives, their way of life is in danger as well. Other than that, the Night Elves don't really give a shit about the other people in the Alliance. They really don't. They don't care. What's not good is that Tyrande and the Night Elves and Malfurion through Tyrande, I believe, will not keep the peace even though there's a treaty with the Horde. And that is another factor of why I think there's gonna be some crazy infighting shit and like dissent among the Alliance in the next expansion. And at this point, because we don't know where Anduin is, he, for all we know, he could come back a like 100% light loyalist and end up trying to, because the light does the same thing as the fel. It wants total control. That's what it wants. And we saw that when the Naru, Zira, tried to purify Illidan. We get that now. So it's just, it's two sides of the same coin fell in the light. Or the Order and the Void. They're all just two sides of the same coin. You have too much of one, and it's bad. Too much of the other, and it's bad. You don't care about people you're in an alliance with. Fair. But yeah, so, too much of one is bad. In any context. There has to be a balance. And right now, because mortals are a pawn to the Titans, the light, and life, because they view these three things as inherently good. You know, that's what light, life, order, they're inherently, to the mortal realm, good things. And that's where Sylvanas finds out, no, they're not. No, they all suck. And so we've been doing the Titans bidding, we've been doing the Light's bidding, until Illyria flipped the script and was like, nah bro, I'm part of the Void now. And we were all like, yo, what the fuck? Sylvanas actually called her an abomination. Sylvanas called her an abomination. And even Illyria was like, excuse me? Bitch, you're undead. Who's the abomination here? So it's all the same thing. So too much of one thing is not good for anyone involved. And the Horde has been having infighting since the dawn of fucking time. The Horde has been fighting for fucking generations. The Alliance hasn't. The Alliance has generally been pretty cool with one another. You know, there hasn't been a whole lot of, like, fighting. I think in the entire time I've played WoW, Varian was the only one that sat on the throne as the High King. And now his son, Anduin. That's it. That's all. That's it. And it's been that way since, I don't know, the beginning. Except for, like, I think Warcraft 1, when Varian was young. So it's just very strange. They're taking a different direction. So with Shadowlands, it's gonna be the Alliance in turmoil instead of the Horde for once. The Horde is pretty okay. Now, I have a problem with the fact that Blizz did the Horde a little dirty when it came to the War Chief thing. Because the War Chief of the Horde has like 2 years max. Like 2 years and like, you're done. You either die or you've become corrupt and we kill you. Like that has been like the fate of the Horde's War Chief. So now, I guess to try and break that cycle, they are now just a community? A council. That's the word I was looking for. Now they're just a council. And it's like, nah, we're not gonna have a War Chief anymore. How is that gonna end up being any better? I guess we'll have to find out. It's just, it's weird. I don't know. And I went over how Sylvanas knows that, you know, the Titans, the Light, Life, the Pantheon, all of this, the Fel, the Void, are the same. They want different things, but they try to achieve them in the same way. And she is technically, truly, like, a morally gray character. And it's hard to see that. So when she says that Azeroth is a prison, when she rips, you know, when she's screaming at Bolvar, she says, this world is a prison. A council is better because why have one corrupt person when you have a bunch of corrupt people? Exactly, though. Like, that's the point that I'm trying to make. That it's like, well, no, we're done with having one corrupt person, but shit, if we're all corrupt, it's totally okay. Like, I don't think that's how that works. And it's just crazy. So when Sylvanas breaks the Helm of Domination, rips open the hole over Icecrown, in, you know, showing us Shadowlands, and I contemplated about how that fucking happened. Because I was like, how in the hell is the Helm of Domination connected to the Shadowlands at all? I think, and this is my speculation, because I kind of talked this over with myself and texted Heather about it at the same time. I think when Ner'zhul was floating in the fucking space, becoming the Lich King, because the way that they described Ner'zhul's beginning, the Lich King's formation, is that when Ner'zhul was removed from his body and turned into the Lich King's armor, you know, the Helm of Domination and the armor pieces, his mind expanded to all realities. Everywhere. So I think Ner'zhul was, you know, bouncing around the cosmos and found the Shadowlands and was like, hey, can we be friends? And the Shadowlands, you know, I think probably the Maw, whoever was the ruler of the Maw, whether it be the jailer or whoever before that, or he talked to Muzala, the Loa, he reached out to somebody in the Shadowlands and was like, yo, if you give me some souls to make my Scourge army, I'll give you the anima. I will send you so much anima. He's like, I just need the ability to raise all of these people, create a Scourge army, and then I'm gonna take over this planet. I'm just gonna send the Scourge out and let them kill everything. And then you'll have all the anima you want. And the people of the Shadowlands were like, yeah, man, let's do it! So I think that's my theory on how the Helm is even connected to the Shadowlands in the first place. Because how else do you think Death Knights were made? Their souls had to come from somewhere. They were pulled out of the Shadowlands and then placed into substitute bodies, essentially, to make Death Knights. That's just a thought. That's just my thought. So there's so much to think about, and it's there's a lot of information, and I'm so excited to see where Shadowlands takes us. And I guess I'm more excited for like the lore aspect. I'm excited for the gameplay too, but I'm definitely excited for the lore aspect. But yeah, think about it. And I'll probably ramble to Heather about this some more and maybe like come up with like a template for myself to actually collect my thoughts next time I want to talk about this stuff, instead of going in circles and this way and that way, because that's how my brain works and I hate it. So it has been almost 3 hours. I am going to bed. Well, I'm gonna cut the stream. And what if the Horde splinters due to everyone recognizing everyone as dirty? I think it would be fascinating. What if the Horde splinters? So the Horde being broken, has been part of WoW lore for many years. Like I said, the War Chief of the Horde has 2 years max, and then everything falls apart. But the people of the Horde generally aren't divided. Even though shit'll happen and we end up with people that do side with whoever's corrupted. Like, Sylvanas obviously had her fair share of the Horde that were like, yeah, dude, let's go follow her. Yeah, no, she's right. She's the war chief. Like, she had her followers, her loyalists. I mean, Garrosh had his loyalists too. I mean, but at the end of the day, most of the like Horde citizens are very much of the mindset that like, well, we're the Horde. And they say this, that our precious Zappy boy says this in Old Soldier. He says, the Horde is all we have. So, it's less about what's morally correct for the Horde. It's the fact that, well, this is our Horde. We have to go with it. This is our Horde, and that's gonna be that. And that's a very like one-track mindset. Whereas like the Alliance doesn't do that. At least not under Anduin. Under Varian, the Alliance was very solid. You know, Varian was a very tough dude. And he didn't usually take no for an answer. He was a force to be reckoned with. And Anduin is too soft. You'd like to see both factions splinter? Bubbling identity crisis and infighting. Yeah, I mean, it could definitely happen that way. Again, we've seen it happen in the Horde a whole lot. But in the Alliance, it's very rare. There was almost no infighting at all until recently. Until Legion, until BFA. Because, again, King Varian was a very tough king. He was like, no, we need to sit down, have a conversation, figure this out, and that'll be, we make a final decision. Whereas Anduin is like, I respect everyone's individual decisions, but that doesn't mean, he doesn't always agree. So, like I said, Tyrande and Gen are completely against the treaty with the Horde right now. They're not cool with it at all. Tyrande yells at Anduin in the embassy meeting room and then storms out. She's like, I'm not accepting this. This is a betrayal. She's like, see you later. And then she's gone. She has not shown back up. And Gen turns to Anduin. And Gen is like a surrogate father for Anduin because Varian died. And now Anduin doesn't have a father anymore. So Gen has stepped in as sort of this like surrogate father figure for Anduin. And Gen turns to Anduin and he's like, I understand why you made this decision, but I think it's a bad idea. And I don't agree with you. And then Gen leaves. And then poor little baby Anduin is left sitting there alone with, I think Chandra's Feathermoon says something to him. And she says something along the lines of like, how long can this treaty really last? Because we've seen it time and time again, you know, and even Sylvanas says it in the opening BFA fucking cinematic. She says, ours is a history of did she say violence? Ours is a cycle of hatred. Ours is a cycle of violence, essentially, is what she says. And then she says something along the lines of, we've seen treaties made, petty treaties made and then broken. And we've forgotten what makes us strong. So we've seen time and time again, the Horde and Alliance will come together, make a treaty, fight the big bad that's attacking everyone, the Legion, Garrosh, you know, the Scourge, Lich King, and then it just ends. It never stays. So Chandra's Feathermoon is like, well, how long do you really think this is gonna last? And Anduin's like, I don't know, but it has to. So it's definitely going to be strenuous. And then, of course, with the information we have with Anduin missing, I think the Alliance is absolutely going to fall apart. There's not much information on the Horde yet. We don't really know what the council's situation is. What about a reshuffling of the races? I don't think that would happen. Ian Hazakostas has made it very plain that they're not going to be dissolving the factions, and that there needs to be races specifically aligned with each side. I don't think that there's going to be a reshuffling or a dissolution of the factions and where the races are being kept. I don't think. Obviously, I don't know. But I don't think that that's in their plans. Like a third faction to be opportunistic and during the next crisis take claim to enough territory of both to be viable. But that's a personal thing I want because it would be so fascinating. I've actually been saying that for a long time. Because they introduced Pandarans, well, reintroduced Pandarans, and they're neutral. They can choose either side. And since then, no race that has been introduced has been neutral. And I'm like, well, why are Pandarans the only neutral race? Why didn't they lean into that and continue with it? Now, they are not a third faction. I do not think that I don't think Blizz is going to do a third faction. Because it would split the players even more. Because right now, obviously there's two sides. You pick one or the other. And generally you stick with it. I have swapped. Many other people have swapped. And it's common to swap. Very common. But there are faction loyalists. There are people that will play for the same faction every time, no matter what. It doesn't matter what happens. They're never going to abandon that faction. And if we have a third faction come into it, why? If we have a third faction come in, I think that would... she hates it when I do this to her. I think that would split the player... I mean, clearly, it would split the player base. But I think it would split the player base too much. So I don't think that there's going to be a third faction. I do believe that there's going to be a lot of drama and a lot of, fixes that need to be made in the factions. But I highly doubt that there will be a third. She's, kind of hurting me. I need to clip her claws. You just wanted to be part of the stream, huh? Why are you looking at me like that? She's got her ears back. She looks so pissed off. You're the one that jumped on my desk. This is your punishment. She's getting fat and it's just heavy. So I don't know. I mean, obviously we're not going to know until we get to play it, but I don't know. It's gonna be a wild ride. I just know that. I think Shadowlands is going to be probably one of the best expansions that Blizz will ever do on WoW. I feel pretty confident saying that. Because there's so much that's changing. She licks me before you ask any questions. She just... If I put my fingers in her mouth, in her face, she just licks forever. I mean, I say go for it. Worst case, we can see it get crushed due to the fan backlash. But it would definitely throw a wrench into this only two faction system. Yeah, I agree. I've even discussed with friends about there being no factions. She's watching the players fly across the screen. She's so cute. I've even been an advocate for no factions. Because yes, the Horde and Alliance I don't think will ever be friendly. But what if at some point the younger denizens of the Horde and Alliance no longer wish to be part of the Horde or Alliance. And so over time, they just kind of dissolve naturally. They dissolve naturally, and there's no faction anymore. I've always been like interested in what would happen if there were no faction and no faction wars. And I think some of those questions that I have will be sort of answered in Shadowlands, because Ian Hazacostas explained that time in the Shadowlands doesn't exist. So the way I see it is, and other lore YouTubers and people, destroy them both, make a new land for the free people. Yes, the free people! What was I saying? Shadowlands. The way Ian Hazacostas explained it is that, oh god, I lost my train of thought. I got distracted by Dorian, and now I can't think. Okay. I guess that train of thought is gone now. That's great. Thanks. I was gonna say something. What was I gonna say? Oh no. It's the end of the night. It's 11 o'clock. I'm tired. My voice is going out. I don't talk this much usually. Not anymore. Oh my god, I really can't remember what I was about to say. Oh, the time. Okay, so in the Shadowlands, time doesn't exist. So when we go to the Shadowlands, there is a moment where we cannot get back to Azeroth. Go to bed then. Yeah, no, I'm gonna finish this train of thought and then I'm logging out. So when we enter the Shadowlands for the first time, we are sent to the Maw. And the first thing we have to do in Shadowlands is get out of the Maw. If time stops, or time doesn't exist in the Shadowlands, but it does on Azeroth, what if during that moment where we're trying to leave the Maw to return to Azeroth, or, you know, break free from the Maw to go to Bastion, because that's going to be the first zone that we go to, because this was going to be on your first playthrough. It's going to be a linear experience. You go to Bastion first after the Maw. That's the first covenant you start with. So during that time that we are stuck in the Maw, Azeroth's time is still going. So during that time we're stuck in the Maw, it is very possible, like, very possible, as in, like, pretty much set in stone gonna happen, Azeroth is gonna keep moving in time. There's gonna be a time skip. How big is it going to be? No idea. But there's gonna be a time skip. Because we're stuck in this time in the Shadowlands, because time doesn't exist. It basically stops. Time as we know it stops. So we stop here, right? And then you have Azeroth. We're stuck here, but Azeroth is actually going to keep going until we can get back. And then we go back and we're like, whoa! It's very probable that there's going to be a time skip, and that the Bronze Dragonflight and the Caverns of Time are going to become very important again. And I can't wait. And with that, I'm gonna go to bed, because I am very tired. And I think next time I do one of these videos, I'm going to, like, do, like, a point by point, like, what I'm gonna discuss, because I got distracted a lot, went in a lot of circles, so I apologize for that. Good night! everyone that tuned in. Thank you so much again for the new follow, and I hope to see you guys next time. We'll see if the Isle releases any new stuff for the Avrima branch. If not, then it may just be me playing WoW again. Thanks for entertaining my thoughts. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I hope everyone has a wonderful night. I will see you on the next stream. Bye!